As the moon rises over the village of Lamholt, a chill mist settles over the pasture. The villagers, shepherds and farmers, retreat into their homes and bar the doors as the howl of a wolf echoes from the Ulvenwald. The howl of a wolf who may have been one of their friends or neighbors. Werewolves on Magic's gothic horror plane of Innistrad work a little differently than lycanthropes on other planes like Dominaria or Eldraine. The curse isn't transmitted by bite or placed by a witch, but is as natural a part of Innistrad as the forests themselves. Some don't even recognize it as a curse at all, but revel in the freedom of their bestial forms. Werewolves are lycanthropes, a type of therianthrope, humans with the ability to change into animals. But the werewolves of Innistrad are imperfect therianthropes, since they don't turn completely into wolves. Instead, they become a hybrid of wolf and man, with the head, tail, fur, and paws of a wolf, but the torso, hands, and general bone structure of a man. And yet there's something more to this bestial form. While their hands are more human than lupine, they're adorned with wicked claws unlike anything you'd find on any caniform predator except perhaps a bear. Wolves, foxes, and other dog-like predators use their teeth almost exclusively as weapons, while their claws, shorter and less sharp than those of felines, are more like utility tools for digging and traction. Innistradi werewolves are also much larger in their wolven form than in their human form, typically exceeding 7 feet despite their hunched-over posture. The additional mass signified by such an increase in size suggests that rather than losing human traits in exchange for lupine ones, Innistrad's werewolves are layering the wolf aspect on top of the human aspect, becoming a creature that is the sum of the parts rather than the average of them. While lycanthropes on some other planes can be traced back to a specific individual or event, on Innistrad the curse is so ancient that its origin has been lost to the fog of time. Yet, despite the lack of a concrete origin, more information exists concerning Innistradi werewolves than those found on any other plane. The cause of lycanthropy is widely debated on Innistrad. Some of the villagers argue that the curse is transmitted by a werewolf's bite or a scratch, a belief that's hard to disprove simply because victims of such attacks rarely live long enough to either transform themselves or to be recognized as safe. Priests of the Church of Avacyn maintain that lycanthropy is a type of demonic possession, and attempt, unsuccessfully, to exorcise the demons from the afflicted. And while we can be certain that werewolves aren't demonic in nature, the theory of possession may not be far off. You see, demons on Innistrad, and on most other planes, are manifestations of pure black mana, just as angels are manifestations of white mana. While these creatures do have physical forms, they aren't flesh. The other colors of mana, red, green, and blue, don't usually manifest as creatures in the same way. And since the majority of Innistradi werewolves are red and green, demonic possession can be ruled out as a cause. And yet, werewolves seem to be humans possessed by something, and that something is the essence of nature. While it's unclear why some people are called by the essence of nature while others are left to their own devices, there's evidence to suggest that the werewolves themselves may pick their victims, selecting new members for their pack, whether consciously while in human form, or instinctively while in their bestial forms, and spreading the curse through a type of wild ritual. When a victim is selected, they'll hear the call of one or more werewolves in the night, and in a dreamlike state, they'll answer that call, leaving their home to wander deep into the forest. Eventually, they'll reach the pack that called them, where they'll wake up, surrounded by glowing eyes in the darkness. This is one of the rare times when werewolves in their lupine forms don't attack a human, because they already recognize the victim as one of them. At this point, the victim has already been possessed by the wild essence, but hasn't yet changed form. The pack leads them on their first hunt, crashing through the forest like an animal as they slowly gain wolf-like features. Eventually, the victim will find his prey, usually a game animal like a rabbit or even a deer, but occasionally the pack will hunt a lone human or even another werewolf, an outcast or a member of a rival pack. When the new lycanthrope's teeth pierce flesh, the curse is finally complete. Their hands elongate, knife-like claws stretching from their fingernails, and their mouths stretch out into a woven muzzle, complete with the razor-sharp teeth of a carnivore. Their bones crack as they stretch into new, inhuman proportions, and their tailbone elongates into a tail as thick, wiry hair carpets their skin. The transformation causes a surge of adrenaline, ramping up their metabolism to provide their swelling muscles with oxygen and nutrients, which, in turn, leads to a ravenous craving for fat and protein to fuel their new bodies. The pack howls in celebration, welcoming their newest member, and the hunt continues throughout the night, until the victim stumbles, wearing the ragged remains of their clothes, back home the next morning, haunted by dreamlike memories of hunting and killing. From that point on, the new werewolf is a being with two conflicting spirits sharing the same body. These two spirits, one human, the other wild, compete for control of the body and to determine its form. When the human spirit is in control, the victim retains their human form and mind, with few indications that they carry the curse. When the wild spirit, the wolf spirit, takes control, the victim's flesh twists and a feral beast takes over. Whichever spirit is in control feels the pull of its rival, struggling for dominance. Humans carrying the curse feel their emotions more strongly, and may struggle with violent urges or angry outbursts. Any sufficiently traumatic experience or emotional reaction can trigger the loss of control and physical change, but the trappings of humanity help to keep them in check. The human spirit desires order, so the static environment of a city or village can help them to maintain control, as can the presence of other humans to remind them of who and what they are. An even greater influence is the practice of religion and the presence of angelic magic. White mana favors order, of course, which offsets the chaos inherent in the red mana with which werewolves are associated. Werewolves seeking to retain their humanity, which make up the majority, frequently attend church services, say prayers at roadside shrines, and wear holy symbols like Avacyn's collar to ward off the transformation. Each of these helps them to retain their humanity, but no werewolf can resist the call of the wild when the moon is full. Those who embrace their animal side are called Wantons, and they actively seek to return to their bestial form. Wantons tend to shy away from villages, seeking the life of a hermit in order to stay closer to nature. Some even live among wolves, who can sense their kinship. Wolves and werewolves are able to determine who carries the curse by smell, so people who are spared after a werewolf attack are often accused of being werewolves themselves. In the 719th year of Avacyn, 4558 Argivian reckoning, the Archangel Avacyn was released from her prison in the Hell Vault and went to work making Innistrad more safe for the humans she was created to protect. One group of humans and werewolves in Gatstaff prayed to her to lift their curse, and she appeared before them to confess that she was unable to break the curse, since destroying the wild spirit would also destroy the human one. Instead, she offered a compromise. If the repentant werewolves would swear to serve her church as guardians of humanity, she would combine the two spirits into one. The werewolves present accepted and were transformed into the Wolfir, creatures with forms similar to the bestial bodies of werewolves, but the hearts and minds of a human. A few, though, were cured entirely, allowing them to live normal lives without the curse threatening to unleash itself upon their families and neighbors. This peace didn't last long, though, as Avacyn's descent into madness a mere year later led to her blessing being undone, turning many of the cured humans back into werewolves. Werewolves frequently join together along with true wolves to form a pack, a group that hunts together and may also collaborate while members are in human form. The common categorization of wolves into alphas leading the pack, betas following them, and omegas at the bottom of the social hierarchy has been routinely discredited, but werewolf packs adopt this style of hierarchy. Among wolves, this type of hierarchy only develops in captivity, when several unrelated wolves are forced into an artificial pack. Natural wolf packs usually consist of a family group, with a mating pair as the core and their offspring or more distant relatives making up the rest of the pack. Among Innistrad's werewolves, family groups are not unheard of, but they are a minority, and, in fact, these lycanthropes are believed to be infertile, possibly because the stress of a female's monthly transformation is too stressful for her fetus. Aside from the blessing of Avacyn, now deceased, There's no known cure for lycanthropy. But silver, blessed by the priests of Avacyn, and wolfsbane are both known to help prevent the transformation. Silver and lycanthropy are both associated with the moon, but the association comes from silver's ability to absorb and store divine energy. Normal silver doesn't have any special effect on werewolves, but a powerful cleric's blessing fills that silver with divine energy. A knife, arrowhead, or other weapon made of this blessed silver burns a werewolf's flesh as it drives away the wild spirit. Innistrad's moon is also made of silver, and if silver absorbs divine energy, it may draw energy away from Innistrad when it's full, making it easier for werewolves to transform. The moon's ability to hold energy is so great that it was turned into a prison for Emrakul, the Eldrazi titan of corruption. When Emrakul manifested on Innistrad, her presence began corrupting living flesh throughout the plane. Werewolves, already possessed of changing forms, were more susceptible to her influence than most. Generally, Emrakul's influence only affected either the human or the wolf form, but the more it changed, the more difficult it became to shift between them. Soon, what were once hybrids of human and wolven anatomy became twisted alien abominations who had lost both their humanity and their ability to regain it. Once Emrakul was imprisoned in the moon, her influence on the Innistradi werewolves weakened, allowing the curse to return to its normal form. But her presence in the moon started to change the lunar cycle, leading to shorter days and longer nights. Around this time, a new breed of werewolves, the dire strain, began to appear. They were far larger and far stronger than the rest, and were instrumental in Tovalar's attack on the Harvestide Festival, where a coven of witches was trying to restore the daytime. Tovalar is one of two exceptions to the rule that werewolves don't retain their human mind in their wolven form. The leader of the disbanded Mondrian and Howl Pack, and later the Dire Pack, Tovalar was rumored never to return to human form. In reality, he favors his wolven form, but manages to retain some of his humanity after transforming, and is the only werewolf known to use human weapons in this form. The other exception is the Planeswalker, Arlen Cord, formerly a member of Tovalar's pack. After her Planeswalker spark ignited while in her wolven form, she found herself on another plane with her human mind in her wolf body. She soon discovered that she could shift between both forms easily, retaining her humanity in both. The fact that Arlen retains her human mind in both forms after her first planeswalk suggests that the essence of nature is part of Innistrad itself, and is unable to leave the plane. This could mean that the spirit that possesses humans to create werewolves is similar to the gods of Theros, who are bound to the plane. We know that a planeswalker cannot be a god, so perhaps a planeswalker cannot share their body with the essence of nature. With the omen paths open and travel between planes accessible to all residents of Innistrad, it's only a matter of time before we see what happens when Innistrad's werewolves make an appearance on Ravnica, or Tarkir, or Bloomburrow. Thank you for joining me for another video. If you liked what you saw, if you learned something new about Magic the Gathering, Innistrad, how lycanthropy works there, make sure that you hit the like button and share it with your friends who might be interested in similar content. Also, if you do like this kind of lore breakdown for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Dungeons and Dragons, and similar stuff like that, make sure you also hit the subscribe button. That's going to really help this channel get off the ground. Speaking of getting this channel off the ground, I have opened up the Alolan Professor Patreon page. For $1 a month, you can participate in polls to figure out what upcoming videos I'm going to be working on, and occasionally get a preview of content that I'm working on before it gets published. All right. Once again, thank you for joining me. Alola.